Hey everybody, how you doing today? It's a tough week. I'm going to try to get this video out. Of course, if it comes out, then you know I did. If it doesn't, you don't know. Who knows? I could wake up dead. Again, that's a funny saying to me, because if you woke up, you're probably not dead. Unless I wake up in hell. So anyway, we're talking about solo ideas. But we're not talking about the mechanics necessarily. Because there's a gajillion videos you can watch. I've got a few myself on this lick or that lick and, you know, that kind of thing. And you can watch a lot of guys. You can listen to records and pick up a lot of licks, right? And that's not what I want to talk about really, right? I want to talk more about the philosophy of soloing. What do you mean, Dwayne? What do you mean? To be or not to be? A solo, therefore I am? No. That was a good one, huh? Rene Descartes, if you don't know. Philosopher from a long time ago. I wouldn't expect you Republicans to know. Don't worry about it. I won't be on the quiz. And why do I gotta throw one of those in? I don't know. Anyway, soloing. So, there's a couple of different kinds of solos. I mean, there's that little 4-bar break you might take. I'm not really talking about that, right? And then there's the kind of the Neil Peart idea. And Neil Peart's not the only one who would do this, where Neil Peart would, for Rush, would work out every jot and tittle of his solo. And he would do it, you know, he would probably do a new solo every tour, every couple of tours. And this is no disrespect to Neil Peart. He is or was a great player. But that is a very specific thing that you can do when you're in a very specific situation. I think Carl Palmer used to do it too. I don't know, but maybe Danny Carey from Tool does it, where they really orchestrate a solo. And night after night, that's the solo that they do. Because, you know, they're doing, where most of us that are playing the clubs might do 2 or 3 minutes, they're doing maybe 8, 9, or 10 minutes of a solo, and they really work that out. And Neil Peart used to say how it was a thing for him to, over the course of the tour, to really perfect that solo, perfect it, make it the most perfect version of the solo that he could do. I'm not talking about that either. That is a different thing. Although some of the things I'm talking about might have use in that Neil Peart, Carl Palmer type of solo. You know, maybe you'll be lucky and you will get a gig with a Rush type band and you'll become a cajillionaire and you will tour around the world. And although with YouTube and AI, who knows if that's even a thing anymore. You know, when I know someone who's working on robots, I'm telling her now, be careful. But if she does work on robots, I want an android body.
It is time we talk.
Proceed.
A nice one. A nice one. You know, like a couple inches taller than I am now. I'm an idiot. I really am. I'm totally an idiot. All right. So, I'm thinking about Steve Gadd, Vinnie Colaiuta, maybe Weckl, when Jeff Beccaro was alive. Well, he didn't solo very much. And guys that are doing session work, guys that are playing a lot, like I said, maybe you'll be lucky and you'll get into a band like Rush or Mr. Lincoln Palmer and you'll tour and that kind of thing. But maybe you'll end up a schlep like me. And a much more successful schlep would be Steve Gadd. I mean, they say that he would do 8 to 10 sessions a day. You know, I don't know if that's an exaggeration or not. So, I mean, and then he would play at night in the clubs in New York. So he was constantly playing in different genres. Different genres, different styles, right? He was constantly doing different things. So I happened to see Gadd in several clinics over the years. And he would always open his clinic up with a solo, or he would do it in the middle or whatever. And his solo was always different. You could tell that he was improvising his solo, but yet, within that framework, he would hit a few things that he was very known for. He would hit, you know, the Boogadelic, which is one of his big things, you know. I mean, Bonham made it really big, and really that comes from an old Max Roach thing. It's not really a Bonham creation, but Bonham made it famous. So Gadd would hit some of those cool licks that we know. Did I say Gadd? Gadd would hit some of those cool licks that we knew him for and we loved him for, but yet it was kind of an improvised solo. I saw Buddy Rich more times than I can count. And depending what mood he was in, he would do a much more rhythmically melodic. That was tough to get out, guys. Rhythmically melodic. That's tough to say. You know what? You can tell by looking at me I'm not that bright. All right. He would do a more rhythmically melodic solo, and some nights you'd see him and he was just going to blow it out. Man, he was going to do everything at 90 miles an hour and just, you know, kill it for 3 minutes or 4 minutes. But he took a lot of solos during the night, so they were all a little different in little pieces, but yet even Buddy had his hits that he would go to. You know, he liked that windmill thing and up and down on a hi-hat. There's some tricks that he did. And why do guys do that? I mean, I do that in my solos because there's some things that Buddy or Gadd or Kelly Yuta, they do well, they do it efficiently, they do it fast, and it's impressive. So that's part of the solo too, being impressive to folks, and you want to hear, you know, a little applause. That's the human condition, that's the human ego, that's fine, you know. But these guys were taking solos on a regular basis, and they didn't have a solo that they did in the way that Neil Peart did. But they, at least Gadd, I know did, because he's talked about it. And my teacher at Berklee College of Music really started to put this idea in my head, but I didn't realize the idea. The idea didn't really come to fruition until much later, like 10 years later, maybe 13, when I started going to Gadd clinics. And I saw the Gadd solo philosophy. Now, I don't know what he's using in his head. I'm just going to tell you mine. All right, and we'll get to that in a minute. But let me talk about this. Art Blakey, one of the greatest jazz swing drummers that ever lived, always said that the tom-toms in his mind were his blues and his greens. The cymbals were his yellows and reds. The snare drum and the bass drum were his black and his whites. And he was painting. And you can hear in his approach to tunes and in his solos where he would spend time on the tom-toms. And you can hear him, like, in his mind maybe, you know, those blues and those greens and very like a watery sort of feel. And then you could hear him bringing in the cymbals and explosions of fire, you know. You can hear that. And you can hear him seeing what he's playing. I'm going to say that again. You can hear him seeing what he's playing. One more time. You can hear him seeing what he's playing. So the painting was his philosophy of solo ideas. It wasn't lick to lick to lick to lick to lick to lick. Although he did do certain licks repetitively, night after night, because he did them well, he did them efficiently, he did them fast, and they were impressive. And that's okay. So let's talk about soloing. Let's go to the lab right now. Hey everybody, how you doing? Glenn Giordano here again. I promised I would try to get a video out this week. Kind of had a busy week, so I'm doing this. I want this to be another bit of a short one, so stay with me. We are talking about solo ideas, how to get started on solo ideas, but not to have a solo that you mold together and you work on, a solo that you can improvise, but where is that going to come from? Remember, we're talking more about the philosophy than the mechanics. The philosophy more than the mechanics. I wasn't going to let this pass, because just to be honest with you, I'm feeling a little bit down today. This channel, we leave all the blips, all the blops, the bloops, and the bleeps. And I thought I was going to mention it, but I'm going to mention it anyway, because sometimes, I just suffer with that. Sometimes I just feel down. Today I seem to be feeling my aloneness. And if you want to PM me and talk about this, if you feel these things, there's a difference in being lonely. I get lonely sometimes, and that's okay, we all do. But some days I'm hit with my aloneness. And I should feel good because I passed the class last night, and the final... Not only the final driving exam now for the driver's ed class, I'm going to be teaching driver's ed. I passed, and I'll be doing that shortly. Even if I got the call from Mark Foreigner and I used to play with him, and to go on the road with him or something, or to do some shows with him, I would still do like a driver's ed on the side because I like having something else going. All right, so let's get back to this subject. Let's get back to this. All right. I was thinking about what I was going to do and how I was going to express this to you. So I started in the preamble. I did it a few days ago in the preamble, the monologue, and so I'm not 100% sure exactly what I said because there's been so much going on this week. But I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. I'll probably post that in here again. I know I post that one a lot.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
But I don't know where you are. Mechanically. I don't know if you have a lot of chops, a lot of facilitation, or maybe you're new to this, you're new to gigging, maybe you don't feel comfortable taking elaborate solos. And remember what I said in the preamble, I do know I talked about this, that it is okay to put in some licks and chops, because the drums is a very physical instrument, more physical than the rest of the band. I mean, yes, they're all physical to some degree, but we are moving all four limbs, and people enjoy seeing the aerobic acrobatics of it sometimes, right? Even Buddy did those windmill things, Buddy Rich that is, those windmill things, and all sorts of stuff like that, right? So people enjoy that, and it's okay to put that in. Part of your job as an entertainer. But when you're taking a solo, you want to tell a story, a beginning, a middle, and an ending. And so what I'm going to try to do is try to demonstrate, without the use of a lot of technical double stroke rolls and quads and all that kind of stuff, without the use of that, just to show you the thought process. And my teacher at Berkeley had when I auditioned for him, at Berkeley College of Music that is, I auditioned for my private instructor, and I remember his exact words. I'm going to say them to you. He said, "Man, your paradiddles and your doubles and all that, they're flawless. You have great hands, but you're boring. You're not playing anything that I can remember, that my ears gravitate to." And so we're going to work on that this semester, right? So that's what I did with him. And I'll tell you, I worked on it for the 2 years I was there, but later, I really didn't understand what he was talking about till in the 90s when I had seen several Steve Gadd clinics. And I began to see what Steve was doing. And he was a little different in how he approached his rhythmical melodies, but I was singing circles. Steve, if you watch him, he takes the first part of his solo right on the hi-hat and the snare or the cross stick, and then he keeps expanding until he's working the whole kit. So again, he's telling a story, a dynamic, rhythmical story, but he's telling a story. And I know I did say this in the monologue, and he does some of his hits that you want to see him do, but he puts that in the story. Just like any story. You know, you watch Star Wars, and no matter what movie they come out with, you kind of look forward to seeing the lightsaber scene. You know there's going to be a lightsaber scene where they fight with the lightsabers and they do the flips and everything. You want to see that. But there's a story around it. The story may be different from movie to movie, but you still look forward to seeing that lightsaber scene, even though there's one in every movie. Okay, so it's okay to put that stuff in that you've done before. So, as I said, for me, I started to think about that idea, that expanding circles. But let's talk about the Ringo Starr solo for a second. It's on the Abbey Road album. It's in the song "The End." It's 8 bars, and so Ringo, admittedly so, he admits this himself that he did not have a lot of facility. He didn't even do really a proper role. He said that himself. But yet he created 8 bars that are so memorable that when you play it on stage, when you play that song, people will stand up and air drum it with you. You should be so lucky to have 8 bars if you're playing last 60 years and have people air drum it with you. 8 bars if you're playing. I mean, I did solos on cruise ships every day, sometimes 2 or 3 a day. And there's nobody air drumming any of my solos, all right? So I thought this would be a good opportunity to demonstrate this idea of solo ideas, of a beginning, a middle, and an ending, and not use my chops, like in that Ringo solo, you know, you may have heard it before. I even did it in my last video a little bit, right? He just does a whole bunch of stuff like that. He does a theme, and then he repeats the theme, then he elaborates on the theme, and then he's got a nice 8th note build at the end. Right, so his solo, his 8 bars, you know, 4 beats a bar, 8 bars, 32 beats, he's got a beginning, a middle, and an ending. And it's beautiful. Like I said, one of the most recognized solos in history! In history! So what I thought I would do is to take a little rhythmical melody and begin to show you what you can do. Now, I like to think of not only the rhythmical melody I'm thinking about, but I think of expanding circles. Expanding circles. So let's start right here on the snare drum. Here's my first circle, right? And here's the melody I picked. Very simple, right? I'm going to go... right here. You're playing a show, you're in a club, and they call out a solo. You don't have any cool bottom quads or anything you can do, right? You're not ready for that. Or maybe you do it in your practice room, but you're afraid to do it in front of the people. Or maybe this is just a place you want to start and you're going to work up to that. Now again, this is just a little rhythmical melody I picked, and I'm going to elaborate, right? So I'm taking that idea. That's the idea we're starting with. That's the rhythmical melody that people can sing back, they can remember, and when I leave this solo, they're going to think about that. Now, going back to my little thing of circles and geometrical shapes, right? You know, triangles and whatnot, I'm going to expand that. I'm going to do that a couple of times and establish my theme. Right? If I was going to do a solo like this that had very little technical expertise and was just rhythmical, I would start with that, then I might add my feet. So here we go. Let's say we do this twice. Once. we've started adding something, right? Now maybe I'm going to expand my circle, right? I'm going to expand it to the floor tom. Here we go. Now I'm expanding to both toms. My circle's getting bigger, right? But you can hear that thing coming out. So let me play with this a little bit and show you. This is just me getting bigger and bigger with this idea. So let's just give it a shot. I don't want this video to go on too long. And I'm going to close with some ideas that I use all the time. And I'm going to show you how I kind of start here, like Gadd. I know I'm copying Gadd, and I begin to expand around the kit. So here we go with this idea. Remember, take points off if you see me use too many cool little chop things, right? So here we go. Those are just some ideas, and I was just kind of meandering again. On this channel, we leave the blips and the blops and the bloops, and I may have been even too technically minded in that than I wanted to be. Because even I was running out of ideas for that little melody, right? I might have had to have a bigger melody or mess around with it more, but those are some ideas. But already, you're hearing in your head when you shut this video off, you'll be walking down the street, you're going to think, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-da, ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da. You're going to have that in your head. So, all right, start doing this. Put a metronome on and just play. Just play. But think of something. Think of something. So let me show you my idea. This is a solo. I kind of start from the same place all the time. I'm going to show you this. This is going to be just an expanding circle. And I'm going to end the way I end. We got a big show coming up for you next week. Another Musicians on Couches. I'm really excited about this. I'm taping it on Sunday. Don't miss next Friday. Don't miss next Friday. Not tomorrow, but next Friday. So I got the metronome set for, let's make it for 110, 111, okay? And I'm going to start here and expand. Here we go. This is how you should practice. And just let yourself flow. Don't worry about, let me say this a couple of times. Do not have your ideas just supporting your technique. Let your technique support your ideas. Do not have your ideas only there to support your technique. Let your technique support your ideas. Last time, when I do this, I really don't want my technique to support my ideas. I want my ideas, I'm an idiot. I really don't want my ideas to just support my technique and chops. I want my technique and chops to support my ideas. So here we go. I'm going to start with the groove, and let's go.